This episode is sponsored by ODP Business Solutions, built to address all your facility needs. Visit odpbusiness.com today. In the world of commercial cleaning, opportunity doesn't come in just one size. Some contracts look massive and intimidating, while others might seem too small to really matter to your company. But give this a think. Every job, big or small, can be a stepping stone to growth. In today's episode, we'll unpack how forward-thinking building service contractors like you can turn any opportunity into a strategic win, avoid the pitfalls of chasing only one type of work, and position themselves as the go-to partner for clients of all sizes. So perhaps, this will change the way you see every bid that comes across your desk. And to help with this, I'm pleased to welcome a regular guest, Jeff Carmon. Jeff, I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great, Jeff. It's great to see you as always.
How are things at Elite BSC?
Going well, going well. We've got a leadership conference coming up in October, the first one we've ever had. So we're excited about that. We've got a good speaker lineup and some good things for our members. So we're excited about that.
So can we share that link with people in the video below?
Yes, we
Okay.
can. Yes.
So
Yep.
for those watching, we'll put that down below and we'll make sure they know about that, Jeff. Maybe you'll pick up
Great.
another member or two to come to that. That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
that'd be great. Yep.
Today's topic, though, is an interesting one because I would think some jobs might be too small for some to look at. They might be, not my thing.
Yeah.
So if you're ready, let's talk about this and get your
Mhm.
thoughts.
Yeah.
So when you hear that no job is too big or too small, where does that hold true? And where should a company draw the line based on its strategy and stage of growth? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So sometimes I don't, if you see, not just in our industry, but other service industries, they'll have that sign on their truck sometimes. No job is too big or too small. And I want to say, well, yeah, there is. There are jobs that are too big and too small, and everybody knows that. But I think the line where you say, is this job too big or too small, or is this a right fit job for us, has to do with what your strategy is and where you are in the life cycle of your company. There's a great book called Playing to Win, how strategy really works. And in this book, they talk about 5 questions. And the first 3 questions are, what is your winning aspiration? Where will you play? What field, if you will you play? And then how are you going to win when you're on that field? And so I think those 3 questions have to be asked. And then so the question becomes, where's the line? The line is, hey, will this help us achieve our winning aspiration? Is it the type of customer that we want to play with right now? And can we win? Can we go get that customer and not only win their business, but serve them in a high level?
I like that. So I'm hearing that some jobs could be too big or too small, but you need to know what you're doing.
That's right. That's exactly right. And it has to fall in line with, again, where your strategy is in your company at whatever stage in the life cycle you're in. So for instance, if you're new into the business, if your company's just starting out and getting rolling, some of these small accounts would just be absolutely perfect for your company. While some of these larger ones might not be the type of customers you need to take on at this juncture.
Okay. Maybe a two-parter here. What would you say to a smaller firm that's thinking about bidding on a large multi-site client? That's a big
Mhm.
deal. And what
Yep.
real advantages can that smaller company bring?
As the modern workplace evolves, organizations must evolve as well. They need a partner that understands this new world of work. We are that partner. We are ODP Business Solutions, formerly Office Depot Business Solutions Division. More than just office supplies, ODP is a force for change, helping address technology transformation, sustainability, innovative workspace design, cleaning, break room, and more, making organizations everywhere say, oh, when they see how much more we can do. ODP Business Solutions.
Larger clients certainly bring some level of complexity with them. They're just larger customers. There's not anything about our business that's not learnable. I mean, we're not, I hate to say it, but we're not, we're not curing cancer. We're serving customers and we're cleaning their facilities. So there is some level of complexity, but it's nothing that you can't learn. The second thing I would say about this is I think there is a progression too. And there is, if your average size customer right now is $2,000 a month and a $60,000 a month customer comes along, that might be too big of a leap. But to go to say 10 or to 12 or to $15,000 a month, I don't think that's a leap at all. So What the real advantage, though, and we used this at France Building Services as we were moving through that process. So when I got to France, our average size customer was about $2,000 a month. Now today, it's closer to $20,000 a month is our average size customer. The advantages that we bring a lot of times is this, and we can say this to a customer: you're going to be one of our largest customers, so you'll get a lot of our attention, and so that means a lot to a customer. The other thing is, in many cases, is we'll have boots on the ground. We'll have our team that's dedicated to serving the customer, and they just don't get lost in the shuffle. And so I think there's a lot of things that small companies who, and I'll put in quotes, kind of have their act together, can really bring to a larger customer.
So, how do you decide if an opportunity is too big or too small for your company? Are there factors that you can share that would help those watching to figure that out?
Yeah, so I would say on the too big side, let's start with how do you determine if it's too big? And we would go through this frequently at France Building Services. And that is, do we have the operational capacity to serve this customer with our current capabilities and still serve our existing customers well? So we don't want to take on any customer of a significant size that says, hey, we don't know if we take on this, is our other business going to suffer? The second part of too big, or maybe, yeah, I guess this would be too big. And I'll give you an example. So at France Building Services, we served the area that we served had a couple of state universities that were located there. Well, one of the capabilities that you need to have to do that kind of work is the ability during school breaks, whenever they flip all the dorm rooms, you have to have a large influx of employees. And that was just not how we were built. Could we have gotten there? Yes. And maybe we will at one time, but we're just not geared up to do that kind of work or do large stadiums. So it really comes down to operational capacity. On the too small side, we've got a threshold that says we want to have the monthly recurring revenue to be at this point. And at France Building Services right now, I think that's around $8,000 a month. But we want to achieve a reasonable profit margin and profit dollars to help us with our winning aspiration. And so, but we're not dogmatic about that. So for instance, if a small customer sits beside a customer that we're already serving, yeah, and it's convenient, we'll serve it. And also, if we can get a smaller part of a larger customer's business, we'll take on that smaller account too. So there's a lot of factors that go into too big and too small.
Sounds like strategy to me, Jeff. So,
It is.
yeah, it is. All right. So those watching this program, they're still with us.
Yeah.
I think everyone wants to grow. I mean, you
Yes.
want to grow your business. So what can these companies do now to prepare to think about and plan to win these larger customers that everyone wants, it seems?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And over time, I think that's the way to really, and the people use the word, I'm 61, so this scaling your company is a new word, but everybody wants to grow their company. How about that? And here's the last two questions that are in those five questions. The number four question is what capabilities must be in place for us to win? And then what management systems are needed to win in this environment? And so when we talk about that, it's right now, it would be for a smaller customer that wants to maybe serve larger customers. Start documenting and getting all of your processes in line. Processes like recruiting and training, have that solidified. Quality control, customer feedback and resolution, customer communication. All of those, work on all those processes so that you have that in place. Secondly, begin to put together your tech stack of systems that you'll need in place. So for instance, you're going to need something like maybe an applicant tracking system. You'll need a system that can do job costing and give you real-time information on things like budgeted versus actual labor. You'll also want some things for tools for customers to communicate with you issues so that you can resolve them and report that back to the customer. So start building out those systems and also those processes to be ready to serve that larger customer.
That communication aspect is important. I imagine you remember back in the day, you might get a post-it note on your door.
Right. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And now customers, especially, and this is one of the differences in a larger customer is typically there's a lot more people in their buildings. And so there's a lot of requests or service issues. And if we can create a channel so that those things don't burden our customer contact and bring those right to us so that we can resolve them, that I think is one thing that all of us in the industry are probably working on, is how do we how to create that frictionless service issue resolution. And so that would be one thing to really start preparing for.
Well, Jeff, we're about out of time. Any final words of advice you'd like to close with?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. I would suggest that book that I mentioned. I think it's a good book. It's easy to read. It's about strategy, it's putting strategy together. Bring your team together and walk through those 5 questions together, and develop that strategy, and then say, hey, where do we want to be in 3 years? I think planning out further than 3 years is tough, but to put together a 3-year plan of how your strategy might change. And then the last thing is to create a list of those customers that you'd like to have, and begin developing relationships with them to try to get their business down the road.